Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I'm Arjuna Sharawat, anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings acquired by these industry leaders. We also hope that by conducting these interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone by identifying, nurturing, and using the trade secrets that are proven success formulae for many. And this is what we aim to achieve with these sessions that are a gathering of leaders and a knowledge-sharing community. We have one such leader on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Sai Prakash Mangipudi. Having over 3 decades of experience in supply chain management in the leadership tier, he has great mastery in his field. His expertise lies in end-to-end supply chain planning, supply network design, flow optimization, process and productivity improvement, and sustainability initiatives across the value chain. Sai Prakash has a proven track record of sustained improvements in all areas of supply chain and has expertise in areas such as e-commerce and D2C fulfillment, supply and inventory management, cost management, safety and EHS, warehouse management, local and international transportation, and import and customs. Sai Prakash has played decisive roles in L'Oreal India, L'Oreal Singapore, Tata Sky, and Asian Paints India, majorly in senior positions like logistics manager, supply chain director, and vice president. At present, Sai Prakash is freelancing as a supply chain consultant. Welcome, Sai Prakash, to FaceTime with Leaders.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you here and very excited to having this conversation with you.
Thank you so much.
Sai Prakash, could you let our viewers know about your journey of becoming supply chain director and holding the post at 3 companies and one of vice president with L'Oreal India?
Yeah, it's over 30 years. It's a long journey. So after my engineering in NIT Warangal, I joined IIM Lucknow and I directly joined Asian Paints from the IIM Lucknow campus. So that was my first company. And of course, Asian Paints is known very well as a very fantastic training ground for young management graduates joining them. So I have joined initially in finance. I handled almost all areas of finance, controlling, corporate finance, treasury banking, insurance, everything. And I became finance and strategic planning manager in about 7 years' time. And then I moved from there to SAP implementation in Asian Paints. So that was a very interesting journey, a completely different environment and learning process for me. And from there, it was a very successful implementation. And I moved from there into supply chain. That is when I came into supply chain and I stayed in supply chain afterwards. So I worked in supply chain in Asian Paints as a supply chain planning and logistics manager. So I learned a lot coming from finance into supply chain. And in 2005, I moved from Asian Paints to Tata Sky. And I joined Tata Sky before the service was launched, almost 6 months before the service was launched. And it was a very tight run against the schedule to be ready from supply chain side to get the supply chain ready. So we had to set up almost 35 different warehouses, get the infrastructure in the warehouses, recruit all the people that are required, enlist all the vendors, vendor contracts, quality management. In fact, we had to set up everything from sourcing all the way to supply chain. And we were ready. And we had our, within 6 months, we had our first consignment going out to our customers. So that is a very interesting journey there. So and from Tata Sky, I was there for almost 4 years. From there, I joined L'Oreal. That was my first MNC experience. And I worked in India as supply chain director. And yeah, it was a time when L'Oreal India was, was recovering from a little bit of a setback at that point of time when I joined. So our performance in India supply chain was behind the other subsidiaries of L'Oreal. But with the help of my team, we managed to turn things around, and in fact, L'Oreal India supply chain started getting a lot of internal awards in a couple of years' time. So it's a good time in L'Oreal India. Then I was moved as supply chain director for our South Asia Pacific zone based out of Singapore. So I was there in Singapore for about 6 years, looking after supply chain for the region in a regional role. And then I came back to India as head of heading supply chain and also sustainability for L'Oreal India. So yeah, it's been a long journey, different roles, starting from finance, and yeah, it's been a good, interesting set of responsibilities that I had during this time.
Yes, very inspiring, enriching journey you must have had. We would like to, if you could highlight some of the challenges, most difficult challenges that you have faced in your career journey. We would love to
Yeah,
hear about those.
yeah. No, I think, well, we could call them challenges, but in a way, they're also blessings in disguise. Just as I explained, I had a frequent change of roles during my entire 30-year stint. And I think that's a challenge in terms of, being able to adapt very quickly to the demands of a newer role, to learn the role very quickly, and to be able to understand what is required to make improvements in that role and to be very effective in the role. So that's a challenge that I had faced several times as I kept changing my role. But I think I learned a lot out of this all along. So I think that's one very interesting. So just to give an example, so in Asian Paints, when I just got into this role of insurance management, so we had a fire in our Bantu factory that time, and a lot of assets and the fixed assets and inventories, they got affected in the fire. So for me, it was a big assignment to do the insurance claim with all the different the insurers, working with those chartered engineers, with the valuers, internal teams to get all the data. It was almost like learning, having been thrown into the fire there. So I think it's a good experience that way. So these changes in the roles also have like the same way with the SAP implementation. It's a new skill set to be acquired, new ways of working, and completely an IT kind of a project. But I was handling three of those modules, FICO, and also part of the time I was handling the metals management module as well in SAP implementation. So a huge learning, a challenge by itself, but a huge learning at the same time. Same way, I would say the shift into sustainability was a challenge to learn, but again, a great learning opportunity. I would say that's one challenge that I had faced throughout my career. The second one I would say is, I think the time that I had in Tata Sky, where in a very short period of time, in just 6 months, we had to set up the entire supply chain and get ready for the operation to roll out, was a real challenge. And I think it was something where really me along with my team, we worked super hard in terms of setting up all the entire infrastructure, recruitment of the people, and everything, getting the products from the vendors well in time for the launch to happen. And I think that was one thing that I really remember. It taught me a lot. I was coming from an environment where I was working with Asian Paints, which had fantastic systems, very high quality of people, to a stage where I had to recruit everybody, and in a hurry. So and it's a completely different experience and everything had to be done in a very short period of time. That again was a really good challenge. Then within a year of launch of the service, we had to really face the challenge of cost. We had to really grapple with the cost of consumer acquisition and had to work, really go back, change the service model to really bring down the cost of consumer acquisition, which was another big challenge that we had, but a good learning for me as well. I learned a lot, and it was a good learning for me. Other than that, I think the assignment in Singapore was again an interesting assignment. I had to deal for the first time with people from different cultures. I had to work with people in Singapore, in Malaysia, in Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines. So each of these countries, people have their own culture. There are those nuances. There are ways to get things done. You need to be very conscious about their cultural, issues and make sure that you're working with the people in the right way. So I think that was another very interesting challenge and learning that I had in my journey so far.
Wonderful. And if you could let us know at least 3 learnings that you drew from all the challenges and all the beautiful experiences that you had.
Yeah. Okay. Bringing it down to 3 is not going to be so easy, but yeah, let me try for that.
Or
The
5
first thing
maybe.
which no, I think it's fine. I think the first thing I would say is this. I think um, for we emphasize in our when we take up new roles, etc., we emphasize too much on the technical skills that we possess. But my own experience over these years has taught me is that more than the technical skills, what makes a person really successful is really, I think, number one, a very positive attitude towards the role that the person is taking up. And the second thing I think is commitment, which is very important. And I would say maybe a learning capability. These are the 3 things which actually make us successful in our roles at whatever level. Uh, Normally, people tend to associate too much importance on technical skills, but actually, it's the other things which actually matter and make a person successful. I think that's one thing which I have learned, and in a lot of the recruitments that I have done over these years, I focused a lot more on a person's attitude, learning capability, and how much commitment the person can bring to the job, rather than purely the technical knowledge or the skills that that person really possesses. I think that is one thing which I've really learned. The second learning, which I would say, is this: that normally when we look at a successful business, the it starts with a good idea and a strategy and all of that. When it comes down to implementation, what really, especially in the current day environment, what really matters now is a proper way to collect all the data and a good data analytics support that helps people make the right decisions. I think uh, this is something which is very important when it comes to any implementation, any execution, and getting things done. So the importance of data, structured collection of data, analysis of the data, and using the data for decision support is something which is very crucial and critical for anybody. The third, I would say, is a learning. Having worked with 3 of the best companies around, is uh, is this, that I think transparency and trust, the value that is there, behind this transparency and trust is really immense. We cannot really measure it. I think whether it's a personal level or at an organization level, trust and transparency are really very important. And being very transparent and ethical makes a huge difference for an organization and even for an individual. So, so these, I would say, are some of the learnings that I have gathered over these years.
Absolutely, very, very important. Trust and transparency. For the growth, it's so important.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing these with us. And we would also like to know, when did you develop an interest in sustainability? You did mention that in L'Oreal, sustainability aspect you have worked.
Yeah. So
and also
I
before
was,
you must have it must have been very early on that you would have had developed interest in sustainability, I'm sure.
yeah. So I was in my last job in L'Oreal India. I was heading what is called as L'Oreal for the Future. That's a sustainability program globally of L'Oreal worldwide. And it's a very bold and strong commitments on sustainability made by the L'Oreal Group. So I was heading the implementation of this thing for L'Oreal India, for all the entities in India. Yeah, I think sustainability for me. Uh, so till let's say I would say about 3-4 years back, I associated sustainability mostly with let's say with carbon emissions and pollution and things of that nature. My understanding of sustainability was not that great. It was more like the good to do kind of things in terms of corporate social responsibility or controlling this pollutions and stuff of that nature. But actually, I think the real trigger happened when I got a call from my previous boss saying that we have this position of person who can head this L'Oreal for the future. Are you interested? So I immediately said yes. I want to do that job. Uh, in addition to supply chain management, I want to do this as well. So then he asked, but why do you want to do it? So I gave him some very general answer. Maybe I don't know whether he was convinced or not, but he gave me the role. But my a deeper interest in this topic started after that. So I think his question was a real trigger. So till then, it was for me something which is good to do, which is needed for the planet and things of that nature. But I went much deeper than that after that. So I had actually done a couple of courses on sustainability. I had done one course on environmental laws in India after that, and I went quite deep into understanding what is sustainability and how does it, why is it so important for corporates, and how to develop a sustainability strategy for an organization. Because my role demanded that to set up a strategy and then put up the structure and implement the actions through a team of people. So I think I really learned significantly about sustainability. I would say for me, when I had a idea of what sustainability was, but it was not so deep till about 3 years back. And yeah, then I really, so with various participations in the internal L'Oreal meetings on sustainability, and through the different training programs that we had internally, and I was also participating as representing L'Oreal on the CII committee on sustainability and other forums, external forums. So through various interactions through the different people and through my own studies, I've learned quite a bit on sustainability subsequently. And now I think I do have a fair hold on what it means, what corporates should do about sustainability, and how to implement these programs.
Wow, that's so beautiful. L'Oreal makes products to make us look beautiful, and it has this beautiful project, a beautiful division which takes care of the future
Yeah.
requirements. So what all it has?
Yeah. So in fact, in L'Oreal, the sustainability is quite integrated into the sense of purpose of the organization. So it's like, to put in layman words, we not only make things that make people look beautiful, but we want to make the planet as well look beautiful. So it's part of the purpose of the organization, and it's very well articulated by the chief executive of L'Oreal. So it's a very, and it's fully integrated into everything that people do in L'Oreal. And so a lot of the things that the global teams used to ask us, they made a lot more sense once I had a good hold on what sustainability actually meant and understood the different dimensions. And I think it brings a lot of meaning and purpose to what you do. Once you understand the importance, uh, it really makes your job a lot more meaningful. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm like dabbing my face because it's too humid in Mumbai. Yes, thank you for the lovely answers. Now, moving on, um, we would like to know, have you ever felt a need for better ESG integration in the supply chain management field?
Um, yes, I think so. I think I mean there are organizations like L'Oreal which have had a very clear, well planned and thought out implementation of these programs. So ESG is very well integrated into the supply chain. But speaking to a lot of my colleagues in other organizations, I think there's a huge need for integrating ESG into the supply chain. If you just take this fact, almost 80% of the carbon emissions that an organization is responsible for actually take place in supply chain. So the supply chain has a huge role. The end-to-end operations, and quite a lot of these emissions are coming not just from within the organization but from the partner networks. Your suppliers and your service providers, they are responsible for uh, a big part of this carbon emissions when they're supplying the product to you. So I think this ESG integration is absolutely essential. Now, the 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 point is that there are a number of uh, documented case studies, etc., that tell us that this should be done, but the implementation of this ESG integration into the supply chain, I think, is a bit of an issue in many organizations, and that's something which can really go a long way, especially when it comes to onboarding the suppliers be part of this entire ESG integration. Like, for example, I don't know how many companies, I've interacted with a lot of my colleagues and things like that. Not many companies have this measurement to say what percentage of my spend on my suppliers is on suppliers who have an ESG program in place. And I think it's very important. Every organization must make sure that its partner network is also, uh, having an ESG program in place. Similarly, I mean, there are some very basic things. For example, um, are the working conditions at our supply facilities having the basic things, safety built in for their employees? Are the suppliers and service providers paying the minimum wages which are required by the statute to their employees? So I think the ESG commitment in supply chain is needs to look at number of other parameters besides just the supply chain key performance indicators like delivery on time, etc. Yes, these are important. We have to enable the business deliver and deliver growth, but at the same time, I think each of these things is also equally important to make sure that our vendors are also on board in this entire program of ESG. Our service providers are taking care of the basic social requirements, and uh, and there need to be some very clear metrics that should be part of the supply chain teams, uh, key performance indicators to to measure the progress towards this. It's a journey. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's a journey, and the journey needs to be enabled with a clear program of training the people, building the awareness, and then uh, nudging them towards a positive action through performance indicators and highlighting the achievement or the non-achievement of certain things. I think is a very important way to bring this. I absolutely think that in India there's a huge scope for integrating this entire ESG strategy into supply chain, and it can really make a huge difference.
Absolutely. And coming to technology, what technological changes have you seen in your field? And can you state your foresight on the upcoming technological trends, namely AI, IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, etc.?
Yeah. I think we do see nowadays a huge amount of interest on a lot of these technologies from a number of organizations. I've seen IoT being implemented and very successfully and very with a fair amount of success and very good returns on investment in transportation logistics industries, in manufacturing areas, and there are plenty of use cases on use of all of these digital technologies to enable the supply chain. So in L'Oreal India, we had done an implementation of a demand forecasting system using artificial intelligence and machine learning, where over a period of time, the tool learns by itself and is able to give better and improved forecasts over a period of time. So so we had done some implementation of IoTs, we had done some implementation of this AML kind of technologies. L'Oreal as a group also has implemented a lot of AI/ML in marketing areas as well. So digital marketing is a big area of focus in L'Oreal. And so I had seen these technologies being implemented. I think there's clear documented data that which shows that there is tremendous value add that these technologies can bring. But I also think there are a few challenges that are really coming in the way of large scale adoption of these technologies in most organizations. I think the first thing is that all of these technologies, they generate plenty of data, especially when you implement IoTs, etc. You get lot and lots of data, and it's pretty accurate data as well. Now, what an organization needs to have is a structured way to capture this data and make this data available for advanced tools like artificial intelligence and machine learning to build on top of that and come with decision support, enable the people to do decision support, it can be diagnostic analytics, it can be predictive analytics, it can be a lot of different ways of using this AI and ML for the future. But I think what my experience has been, seeing other organizations and with my own experience, is that many companies lack in having this structured data, a clear vision of what data they need to capture and how to structure the data so that their use case can be run much better and they can really get support from all of these technologies. That I think has been one stumbling block in my point of view. The second thing is when it comes to implementation, I think all these organizations which go for these technologies need a certain level of capability or maturity, I would say. Should know how to use these technologies and use these technologies for getting some good return on investment. Otherwise, people will end up spending money behind it, and it cannot give anything much beyond, much better than what they already have. So I think it's important to have a clear vision for the top leaders in supply chain on how can they use this information, the data, the technology for the kind of use cases that they have or what they foresee for the future. So I think in my point of view, one good way to do is to actually take the leadership teams out to a college and teach them what these technologies are, first of all. Show them some of the use cases. There are plenty of use cases that are available. Show them use cases so that they can really have they can visualize what can work for their organization, and they can pursue these technologies with a lot more commitment and really make it happen. Yeah, I think today there are, in my point of view, some gaps in terms of understanding of how to structure the data properly so that these technologies can really deliver value, and an understanding of what kind of use cases that they can put these to, or what they would need for the future. It's about visualizing what would they need for the future. It's not about today.
Absolutely. One has to always keep abreast with the latest knowledge and how to use this data, which is continuously getting generated, so much of data.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And now, as you are an ESG certified corporate governance expert, we would like to know, what values do you offer the corporate world?
Yeah. So I think the first thing I would look at is this, that um, it's a transparency and some kind of a independent assurance on the both the financial and the non-financial performance of the organization. I think that's one important value that I hope to bring. And so here, what I mean is, a transparency and independent assurance not only on the financial performance or the published results, etc., but also about the ESG performance and the environmental performance of the organization. I think that's one important value that I think is something that I want to bring. Second, of course, is a kind of a leadership and responsibility on both the governance and ESG. They're very closely interrelated. So that's the second thing where it's an oversight on the internal processes and a kind of a way of ensuring that things do happen, and there is a continuing momentum and a growth behind these areas. I think that's the second area I see. The third area of value that I see is risk management, uh, both from a corporate risk as also from a ESG, the social and environmental risk perspective, a management of these risks, being able to anticipate this risk, being able to find ways to mitigate these risks and to be very transparent in terms of communicating these risks as well. I think this is the third value I would look at. Then of course comes fairness and engagement of the different stakeholders. So I would look at these five as the values from my perspective.
Thank you for sharing this with us. And as you're aware that we are building FaceTime with Leaders community for cross-pollination of knowledge and a community of independent directors for having a better corporate governance in the country. What are your thoughts about these initiatives taken by Zishan Pathan, Heval Mehta, and the whole World Development Corporation team?
Yeah, I think it's a very good work that's being done by Jishan, Heval, and this entire community of people working behind the scenes from World Development Corporation. Personally, the way I see it is like this. I think India has a number of ingredients that are required for accelerating growth, economic growth. We have people who are well educated. We have young people. We have a lot of entrepreneurship that is visible everywhere. People want to do things, make a mark for themselves, etc. The number of ingredients that are there for good business growth. Now, I think what is being done now through this forum is to supplement this entire thing, this entire energy, entrepreneurship, and initiatives and innovations with a proper governance and a clear, environmental social, perspective. So I think having a good corporate governance and a good ESG, independent assurance, etc., supplementing this entire initiative and entrepreneurship is really a good formula for having a fantastic, economic system for us in this country. I think we have everything else. We have good banking, financial support systems. Everything is there. And this, I think, is going to be really a huge thing, and it's absolutely necessary for an orderly, uh, growth of the economy that doesn't have any shocks, etc. I think the corporate governance and ESG frameworks being implemented across organizations is a very, very important thing. I think what Jishan, Heval, and this entire team is doing, I think, is really commendable. And of course, there are a number of experts who are there in this country. They are learning, and they're also able to share their learning. So creating a community of people who can learn from each other, uh, I think it's absolutely fantastic. That's the best way to get the complete distilled wisdom of several years of learning and experience into a very short burst of knowledge sharing, and which can really enrich everybody around. I'm fully supportive of what is being done.
Thank you for your beautifully motivating feedback. And that was a very valuable, enriching conversation with you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm very confident that your insights will inspire the future leaders. Wish you the very best for your future endeavors.